I wanted to talk about audio recordings. I first gave this talk a couple of weeks ago to some folks that were doing literacy stuff with SIL. Uh, okay. Anyway, now talking about audio recordings, field audio recordings, and what is a field audio recording or blah blah blah. What I want to talk about is the life cycle of that recording from its birth to the next stage, the whole life cycle until your hard drive crashes. Anyway, uh, so what are the stages in the life of an audio recording? Well, all things being equal, it starts with capture. Capture involves going out into the field and sticking a microphone under somebody's nose, I guess. Tramping out and getting the audio data somehow, and for that you'll need some kind of a recorder, and you'll need a microphone and all the ancillary bits. Fine, but of course that's just a start. Okay. Next, you've got to edit the thing. Now, editing might takes a whole lot of forms. You might want to chop out any distortion. You might want to chop the long audio file into distinct parts. Those parts might be down to one word, but maybe a sentence, several sentences, phrases, whatever. Okay, but that work of editing is going to be vital to the next stages, and you're going to have to chop it up, edit it to whatever unit you want to work to. Okay, so for that, of course, you're going to need an editor. Right, haven't finished there. You have to put it somewhere once it's finished. So you have to put it in a bucket, I guess, and that bucket stores stuff. So you have to have some kind of a container which isn't your audio recorder to store this stuff in. Okay, once you've stored it, you want to go a little bit further, and the more you do, the more you'll be able to reuse this piece of audio. That will involve labeling and sorting, and the more we know about music labels, if we've used iTunes or some kind of music manager. Okay, same with another audio recording that isn't music. You've got genre, you've got artist, you've got album, you've got year, you got all those things and many more. And you can probably think without too much effort of how you might categorize your songs, pardon me, your audio recordings. Fine, but we're not finished. After that, after you've made the recording, split it up, stored it, labeled it, you want to do something with it. And that something may be analysis, and for that you could use, I suppose you can think yourself of whatever program you might use for that. And I can't quite remember what I meant by this, but I guess it's conversion. So you could take that file, and if you want to share it, depending on how you want to share it, you might want to share it as a CD, you might want to share it as a low quality MP3, you might want to stream it, but to do all those things you're going to have to do some conversion, and that of course will require a program that can do that. Okay, so we want to avoid disposable recording syndrome. You want to avoid using one recording once, or having a recording, listening to it, and it not going any further than that. That's what we want to avoid. We want to I thought there was a picture of a dishwasher there, but maybe not. So, okay, but we also want to do more than just reuse it ourselves. We want to think about how we might share with our colleagues, expatriate colleagues, national colleagues, the people whom from whom we've recorded. That's something to think about. People have mobile phones now. Maybe they want a permanent record, who knows, of the finished product. It's worth thinking about. Sharing is different from publishing. With sharing, you have a limited group, limited scope. It's your colleagues, it's perhaps people in the same organization. With publishing, you're going a different route. With publishing, you're publishing it to you're distributing it openly to all who come along to your blog or read your journal or whatever it happens to be. I don't suppose they could read an audio recording, but I suppose you could transcribe an audio recording. That could be, and then that transcription could be written, read. Okay. Now, capture stage, you're going to need a recorder. This is the kind of thing that I would use if I needed to do field audio recordings. I don't, so I haven't got one of those. I've seen them. They're good quality items, and they'll be geared up to make high quality handheld recordings. You see, you've got two mics at the top. You've got it's geared up for the challenges of sticking a microphone under somebody's nose. It'll have accessories like protectors and muff things to avoid wind noise. It's not meant for just the boardroom or your own home. It has the field in mind. These things are expensive. Starting minimum, I suppose, £150, but you buy it, and hey, it's a piece of equipment you have to buy, and you'll get good results every time. Okay. If you don't have that money to spend, or you don't need it for the field as such, well, here's an alternative. Sony, not a bad job. Dedicated machine, easy. It'll be fairly easy to use. Okay, and that start around £40–50 mark. Right. If you want to improve your sound quality, you're going to have to, with a domestic type recorder like the Sony, you're going to have to think about a microphone and the quality of the microphone. And the better microphone you have, the most suited to your machine and to the purpose, then, and the better placed it is, then the better recording you'll get. So also think about that in your budgeting. Okay, those were dedicated devices. Some of them excellent quality, some of them acceptable quality. Now, what if you have an iPod or an iPhone or maybe an Android device? Well, you're in a different position then, and there's a different universe of possibilities open to you. With the iPhone, there are I don't know how many accessories, but one of the accessories that's available is called a Blue Mickey. It's one of a number of high-end consumer or prosumer or professional quality of microphones, and this will give you a quality of recording that will be similar to will give similar results to that of the first Roland item. And if you have an iPhone or an iPod Touch already, you don't have to shell out that extra money, which is an advantage. Plus, it'll go straight into your iTunes for music management, which can't be bad. You've solved one problem. You don't have to think, oh, which folder should I put this in? It's done seamlessly, and the bucket problem, as it were, is solved. Alternatively, both Google Android and iOS devices, iPhones, iPod Touches, and I'm not sure about the BlackBerry, but they all support, both those platforms support Evernote, and Evernote can accept audio input. So you can record a note, and you've solved, I suppose, a couple of problems. Like the iTunes, it'll store it somewhere. But unlike the iTunes, it'll store it on the Evernote servers and whatever machines have the Evernote, so you have a level of redundancy that you don't have with iTunes. The drawback being that it compresses the audio. I don't know how much it compresses it. That might not be an issue for you if you've got a clear enough recording, but it's worthwhile considering something like that. And both iTunes and Evernote lend themselves to easy tagging and labeling of your audio clip. Okay, let's take a different tack. Let's say that you have one of these netbooks or just a laptop that still has good battery life. Great. You have a different set of possibilities open to you. You're recording straight into one of your buckets, the hard drive of your laptop, and you have a USB plug. I'm not sure how Google Android tablets work or the iPad works, but I presume you don't have the same flexibility. With a laptop that has a USB port, you can plug in a cheap but effective, say £40 condenser microphone, a better quality of microphone, and get good results. That might work out for you. The netbooks, well, they're cheap. They're pretty cheap. They're starting around the £200 mark, maybe a little bit more for a brand name that's not Acer. And hey, they're great. I haven't tested this one myself, but I expect it'll be pretty good. But if you have a regular, steady supply of electricity, and maybe you're doing interviews all the time and people are coming to you for the interviews, consider getting a 1-2 combo as something a little bit more professional. This is a all-in-one audio recording device, audio processing device that will enable you to use professional level equipment with your laptop. It costs around £50 and a few days of your life trying to figure out how to work it, and you can marry that, as I say, to a decent quality condenser microphone. Fine. Okay, the Evernote, as I say, works on desktop platforms as well, so you can tag and sort your things. Oh yes, sharing. Certainly with Evernote 2.1 onwards, just released in the last few days, you can easily share your content with other users of Evernote. So there's a social element and a sharing element integrated into Evernote now. Maybe it was there before, but I've only just noticed it now. So that's one way of sharing, and everything's done within the same program. Once it's captured, it goes there. You can label it accordingly, and click, 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 it's shared. Another way of sharing, which is proven to be pretty darn effective in various contexts. Friend does a lot of work supporting a large Central African computer users in a large Central African country with dodgy internet. He has moved tens to hundreds of megabytes on that connection using Dropbox, and it's just worked. It's worked, which is great. So this is something to consider, and with a simple right click you can share files on your Dropbox account. So definitely consider that. Even if you don't ever use an audio recording, I would go ahead and get download this. Okay, now analysis. You'll know these programs better than I do probably, but Speech Analyzer and other like programs are adapted for linguistic analysis, tone and so on of recorded speech. So you'll know better the programs, but this is one possible analysis tool for analysis. Okay, where are we now? Right, editing. This is a bit out of order, but Audacity is a super free program that works on Mac and PC and Linux, and it'll allow you to do all those editing jobs, the reducing the volume at the end, fading in, fading out even, cutting out the hiss, increase normalization, increasing the volume levels, gain levels and so on. So yeah, it's a great app, or you can pay money if you want to. Okay, and you can expand this Audacity's abilities by industry standard plugins, VST plugins and others. Okay, moving on from sharing and editing, there's publishing. And publishing, we're really talking the internet these days, even for professional stuff, as it were. And it lends itself to easy sharing of sound files, and which is of course something which is more difficult with print. But WordPress out of the box supports the embedding of audio files. So I guess search the internet, search YouTube if you want to see how that's done. Okay, well that's it. That's my sort of contribution on audio recordings. I hope you found that useful and great. And just remember to focus on the life cycle. the life cycle of the recording, from capture right across to sharing and publishing. And that's all aided, all facilitated by software tools and by intelligent use of those tools to edit, to label and sort, and to store. Okay, thanks very much. Hope you found that helpful.